Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar from Toronto. This is Amir Ismail. Thank you all for joining us today. Today's seminar is actually being conducted after a while, and I don't really have to tell you why it is. There have been a little bit of gap, and I understand that most of you are at home because of this ongoing situation we are facing. Each one of us is facing. And I'm sure that by now you know that everyone has been impacted. From our point of view, in terms of immigration, we have been receiving a lot of inquiries, and I understand that there have been a lot of confusion, ongoing confusion regarding the status of applications, and people have been asking if Canada has stopped the intake of applications and what can they expect in future. So yeah, we will be addressing very important questions, and we will be joined by our team working remotely from their homes, and I'm sure most of you are at home right now, and I'm sure that you are following the government guidelines, maintaining the social distance, and you are also washing your hands. So yeah, we will be joined by our Director of Pakistan Operations, Khwaja Numan, shortly, and we would also be joined by our Lahore representative, Faria Hassan, as well. But just to give you an idea what we will be discussing, we'll be discussing applicants who are applying for permanent residence or who have applied for permanent residence status, applicants who wish to come to Canada on temporary basis, for example, foreign workers, visitors, and students. And of course, we have subcategories of these applicants because some of them have applied and have been approved, but haven't received their visas. Some of them have received their visas and they haven't traveled as yet. And their status is about to expire. I mean, the visa is about to expire. So they are also concerned as to what is going to happen. We are also going to talk about the travel restrictions currently imposed by the Canadian government and the exemptions to that effect. So let's start with the immigration application. Let me invite my team members. They have graciously accepted my request to join us today. Please welcome Khwaja Numan Ahmed from Karachi.
Hello,
How are you doing, Khwaja Sahab?
I'm fine. Staying at home, saving lives.
Wonderful. Okay. And let me invite Ms. Faria as well.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. Okay, and let me quickly check as to who is with us today. Yeah, so we have Mr. Shoaib Qureshi. Welcome. Omar Farouk is here. Hi, how are you doing? Omar Farouk saying hi. We have Fawad Malik. How are you doing? We have Hassan Akram asking, can he ask questions? Yes, definitely, most definitely. We'll be attending to all the questions. So we will be having a short presentation, and we'll see if the questions that you have could be answered by way of this presentation. But if not, we would attend to your questions. We already posted an announcement about today's webinar, and we received a lot of questions under that post as well. We'll be attending to them as well. So if you have already posted your question, we will be getting to that. So yeah, these questions will be answered. Where is your office in Karachi? We have an office in Karachi we're maintaining since 1991. It's on Shara Festival. We'll give you the address at the end of the presentation. Amit Anoli is also here with us. And Amit Anoli has a very valid concern there. I'm trying your Karachi office number, which you sent me in email, but nobody is answering it. Amir, if you would try the landline number, most probably they will not be answered. We are arranging to have the calls redirected to Khwaja Naman, our director in Pakistan's cell number, and his cell number is always on. So you can try him anytime during reasonable times, of course, and he will be happy to attend and will give you his number at the end of the presentation. Engineer Karim Virani is with us all the way from Karachi. I remember assisting his sister sometimes in past, and hoping that we could answer your questions as well, Karim. And we have a few more. We'll be quickly going through who else is with us. Shajil, most welcome, will be attending. Shakir is also here. And amazingly, we have COVID-19 with us as well. Hello. We all know you. This is good. Amberg. Okay. Rasim is asking ISB office. Hassan Akram. PNP possibilities. Yes, we're going to... and there's a question from Amir Aslam as well. Cutoff points, and it's a good question. In fact, Khwaja Naman just suggested that we should answer this concern, so we'll be doing that. And there's a question, what would happen to applicants already being processed? So we're gonna try to attend to all these questions by way of our presentation, and then we'll build up our presentation, our consultation accordingly. A few more. Naeem Haroon. Yeah, welcome, Naeem Saab. We were looking forward to having you. Great. Okay, so let's start with our first slide, which is about immigration applicants, and we have divided them into different categories. Number one is if you have already been approved. So if you are an applicant whose permanent residence application has been approved on or before March 18, this is the date when Canada announced the travel restrictions, but you haven't traveled to Canada as yet, you are exempt from the travel restriction measures. So that means you can travel to Canada. But of course, there is a catch to it. Once you travel to Canada, you would be asked to, of course, first satisfy the airline that you are not suffering from the symptoms of COVID-19. And if you board the plane, you can come to Canada, and at the border, you will be checked for the symptoms again. And if you are found not to be suffering from COVID-19, there are no symptoms, you would be allowed to enter the country. But regardless of the fact whether you have symptoms or no symptoms, you would go under a mandatory isolation for 14 days. So even if you seem to be healthy, you would still be undergoing an isolation of 14 days, and it's a legal obligation now. It's not something that where you would be volunteering. It's actually a legal requirement in Canada now that you have to isolate. That means that if you don't isolate yourself, you could be penalized, and you could face even jail time. You could be fined if you're found to be not following the government's advice. So the good news is that if you have already received your visa, permanent residence status visa, you can travel to Canada. You can come to Canada provided you meet these requirements. Then we have the other category where you have received your visas already, but your visa is about to expire or expiring, has already expired or is about to expire. If you can't travel to Canada before your visa expires, you should inform the IRCC, and they will then get back to you and let you know what you need to do. So you don't have to worry about your visa expiring and you know that you can't travel, but you need to notify them that I have the visa, it has expired or is expiring soon, and I can't travel. Most probably, their instruction would be that we are extending the visa. And in normal circumstances, whenever they extend the visa, they ask you to go for a additional medical examination or additional test to allow them to extend the validity of the visa. We don't know as to what is going to be the approach of IRCC in this case, where the visa has already been expired or is about to expire, but uh, they would let you know as to what to do next. But you don't really have to worry about it because these are unprecedented times, these are exceptional times, and the Canadian government understands that. So that is one thing. Then we have, if your application is currently being processed, and this is a big question, not only from our client, but of course the public in general, calling us, sending us emails that I submitted an application and it is being processed. What will happen? Or I submitted an application, but I've been asked to provide certain documents. For example, I was asked to provide police certificates, or I was asked to go for medical examination. So if your application is currently being processed, Canada has not stopped processing. Applications are being processed. They have not shut down their department. They are working on your application. So rest assured that if you submitted the application processing will continue. But if you have been asked to provide certain documents and if there was a deadline given to you, for example, if you were asked to provide a police certificate and you were given 60 days, or if you were asked to go for medical examination and you were given 30 days, these deadlines would automatically be deemed to be 90 days instead of 30 days. So if you receive a biometric letter, for example, 30 days timeline, but you know that you can't go for biometric because VAC is closed, for example, Visa Application Center is closed, you don't have anywhere to go to do your biometrics or do your medical examination, you will be given 90 days. And that's how you're going to do. But our main focus today is on applicants who have not submitted the application. They wish to submit the application, but their application is incomplete. Certain of the documents, of course, are mandatory. You can't do away from them. For example, if you're applying for skilled worker category and you are submitting your profile can't be created if you don't have the IELTS score. And your profile cannot be submitted if you don't have the educational credential assessment. So these are the documents which are required. But for example, if you've been selected from the pool and if you can't submit certain of the documents, you can still submit an incomplete application, provided you give them an explanation as to why you can't arrange that particular document. And your application would still be acknowledged. You will not get a refusal because you failed to submit certain of the documents. If those documents are something that are accessible, if you submit an application without your, say, passport copy or without your documents that are easily accessible to you, then there could be a problem because something that you forgot to include. But if your passport has expired, for example, you want to renew it, you can submit the expired copy and you can explain as to why you were unable to arrange that, and you will arrange it in future. So the application will continue processing. Now, we wanted to focus also on applicants who have not submitted their application as yet, especially the skilled worker category, where they need to create an express entry profile. They have everything ready. They have the educational credential assessment. They have the IELTS score. They are ready to submit, but they somehow got concerned that because of this ongoing situation of COVID-19, perhaps their application will not be accepted, or maybe Canada is not accepting application. which is not true. You can submit your profile, you can submit your applications, and in my point of view, it could be perhaps beneficial for a lot of people because we understand that the English language testing centers are closed at the moment. The educational credential assessment process might be hampered because you do need attestation of your documents. So there are thousands and thousands of applicants who might not be able to get the English language test, would not be able to get their ECA. But if you already have those, you should create your Express Entry profile right away. And of course, we'll be happy to assist you in that if you consider us to represent your application. But if you have those things, it might be a good idea to do it right away. Why? Because not only because of the fact that if you don't have an Express Entry profile, you're losing out on the opportunity of being selected by the provinces. Some of the provinces select people directly from the Express Entry pool, like Alberta and Ontario. So not only that, but also the fact that the intake of application will reduce drastically, at least for the next 2-3 months. And if it does, that means the IRCC will have to rely on the existing pool. And if they do so, it is likely that the ranking score criteria threshold would decrease. But being considered by the provinces in itself is a big incentive to create the profile. So I was speaking to
This
our
actually
director
seems to be a good news.
this is what he has been receiving in terms of inquiries. Yes, Anaman sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's been a good news for all the viewers, all the audience who've been watching. That the expectedly you have seen the current selection threshold being reduced recently, and
Yes.
with the kind of words that you shared recently, that people must have been motivated to apply right now. This could be the better time to consider their application to put their profiles into the pool, because coming days will be crucial, and we don't know these lockdown situation how gonna be
Yeah.
all the current applications at the moment into the pool. I believe they have a very good chance to consider and applying right at this moment, because next upcoming 2-3 months will be expectedly either it's gonna be a stay on what it is, or maybe reducing further. So, can you please
Right.
highlight on what expectation people should expect? How much it's gonna be going downfall in terms of selection thresholds? Like last one was 467, and now people should be expecting that current selection threshold and the current application, which are already into the pool at the moment.
Yeah. So if we talk about the impact, it's obvious that in the pool we have different applicants with different ranking scores, and it happens so that when Canada selects people by way of draws, each time they select 3 to 4,000 people in each draw. And by the way, I just wanted to mention that it is business as usual at IRCC because they conducted 2 draws after this COVID-19 became a serious problem. So they are not stopping because their plan, their yearly plan, is still intact. The Minister of Immigration announced a plan just before the COVID-19 problem arose in Canada and in the world, and they have not backed out. That means they will continue to select people, and in the long term, it's beneficial for Canada because with this situation arising, Canada cannot actually do away from inviting people from overseas as immigrants. When immigrants come in, they, of course, contribute to the economy, and with if you look at the long-term situation, of course, there'll be a bit of recession coming in. There'll be a lot of problems coming in. But the Canadian government is actually a very strong government. I mean, in terms of the wealth, they are the strongest in G20. And you can see the measures that they are taking. It is actually a very good time, although it's actually a bad time for all the human beings around the world, because we are fighting with a invisible enemy, and a lot of countries are struggling. But of course, Canada is also struggling. It's not a good idea. It's not a good sight to see people dying. But in terms of the response of the governments, Canadian government is actually the strongest in G20 in terms of financial standing, and they came back with effective measures to assist people. It can be, you could see that they have come up with subsidies for business. They have announced 75% of the wage subsidy to the employers. That means they want employers to keep their employees, and in doing so, they would give employers 75% of the wage so that they can pay to their employees. They are paying $2,000 per month to most of the people who qualify, right? And they have deferred the student loan for next 6 months. They are bringing in so much for their citizens. So if you are already a Canadian citizen, I believe you must be feeling a bit of reassurance, getting a bit of reassurance from your government, because your government is standing behind you. So this is something wonderful. Being in Canada, you are being covered, you're being assured that your government is there to assist you, and there'll be more coming in. So I think it's a good idea. But your question, I'm going back to your question about, what will happen in terms of the ranking scores. Of course, Canadian government selects applicants, 2, 3, 4,000 applicants in each draw. And when they do that, that pool starts to deplete. But at the same time, new applicants are also submitting their profile. So somehow, for the last 6 months, it has maintained its course, and they had good supply of applicants who were in the vicinity of 470, 465 ranking points. Now, with less intake coming in, Canadian government, and if assuming that if it continues for the next 2, 3 months, the Canadian government would continue to conduct draws as we have seen. They have not stopped selecting people. They are selecting people. So they would continue to deplete their stock of 470 plus ranking applicants. So they of course need to target and fulfill their criteria for the year. So at the end of the day, we would see a scenario where they would start selecting people at a lower ranking score so that they can continue the course of selection. So that is one thing about it. And in terms of, I would just quickly go to the temporary residence applications, the visitor visa and student visa, because there are a lot of people who are interested in finding.
Before
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we move forward with this visitor visa application, I've been actually asking questions just because of the audience been asking me, and here in Pakistan, a lot of people calling us and asking these questions, and I'm posing these questions to you just because people wanted to know from you. Recently, we have seen a lot of applications being selected in the provincial nomination. Even our application, a lot of application being selected by Alberta, Saskatchewan, and any other provinces. So how you see PNP programs these days, especially in these situations? So should we expect the similar kind of, considering there is no IELTS exams being conducted expectedly in Pakistan? We have seen there are no dates available till May here in Pakistan, and especially due to these lockdown and being ongoing extension, there's a hamperment in the process of getting the ECA done. So people are very much concerned, especially those people who are into this actually and in the middle of somewhere, and they wanted to complete this process quickly, and they want to utilize their specific time, which they could not actually make sure they give some time to their own things, especially when there's a lockdown situation and people are free and sitting at home. So they are looking their options, and now they are looking to migrate to Canada and they utilize their time to the best manner and do everything within these lockdown holidays, sort of. From there, they are working from home and everything.
Right.
So how you see PNP programs being going on in these special situations?
Right. So, again, these are unprecedented times, and in my 29 years of experience in this field since 1991, I haven't seen anything like this before, and a lot of people, of course, would agree with me. This is at a different level, and it has impacted everyone. From the immigration point of view, governments, of course, this is temporary as well. This is not going to last forever. We know that we are all going to get through it together. So government's plan for immigration, of course, to focus on human resource, it is long term, and that is why you see that it's business as usual for provinces and for IRCC. If you look at the current stats, um, federal governments conducted two draws recently after this, as I mentioned earlier, after the emergence of this emergency. And then, if you talk about the provinces, Saskatchewan recently invited, I believe it was yesterday or day before, they invited 205 immigration candidates to apply for provincial nomination. Before that, we had Manitoba. And Manitoba has been continuing to select people from the pool and directly as well. And they continued even after this pandemic issue, and they issued 226 new invitation. Alberta also invited candidates with CRS as low as 300 in the March draw. So it is very important for people to understand that not much has changed in terms of immigration. They should consider creating their express entry profile, and we think that because of um, the pool not expanding at the proportion it used to, then we can expect that the probability of you being selected by a province directly could increase because you are competing with lesser people. So it is simple math, basically. You can see that. So that's how it's going to work out. Let me just quickly go through the restriction and exemption for travelers to Canada, people who are applying for visitor visa. And then I believe Faria has a few questions related to the visitor visa questions, the issue. And then we could also attend some of the comments that were made on our other posts when we announced about this session. And then, of course, the comments that are being made right now on this online session we are having. So for the visitors, um, you are barred from traveling to Canada until further notice. So if you have a valid visitor visa or ETA, you may still be able to come if you are, for example, a person who is related to a Canadian citizen, a close family member, for example. And a close family member means you are the grandparent or parent or child or spouse of a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, immediate family member. But you are not coming to Canada for essential, you're coming to Canada for essential reasons and not reasons that are optional or discretionary. For example, if you wish to come for tourism or recreation or entertainment, you could be barred from coming to Canada. So essentially, if you have a visa, it means that your visa will not be canceled. You can still use the visa, but because there is a travel restriction until June, you will not be allowed unless there is an exemption. As I told you, that there is an exemption. There are a few more exemptions, as I understand. That if you are, for example, registered under Canada's Indian Act, you're a protected person. You're a person who's authorized in writing by an immigration officer because of exceptional circumstances. In most of the cases, these do not apply to normal people. So, basic, not in normal circumstances. So and if you happen to even come to Canada on a visitor status because you've met the exemption requirement, you would still isolate yourself for 14 days, even if you don't have any symptoms. And it's a mandatory requirement. For international students, if you are an international student who has a valid study permit or were approved for a study permit on or before March 18, 2020, you are exempt from the travel restrictions. You can come to Canada, right? But again, when you come to Canada, first you need to board the plane, and the airline would make sure that you don't have any symptoms. If you have any symptoms, they will not allow you to enter Canada by air. So, assuming that you don't have any symptoms, you come to Canada and you would be again checked here. And regardless of your situation, your health condition, you must isolate for 14 days, even if you don't have any symptom. It's a mandatory requirement. So, international students, if you have a valid study permit, even if you, and I remember there was a question by one of the clients, and it's there in the comments that I have a study permit, I still have it, but I travel to my home country. So what will happen? Can I come back? Yes, you can come back. You are exempted from the travel ban if there is a flight, of course, and you will be checked. You will be checked here again, and then you will be isolated for 14 days. You will be doing it on your own. So it's an honor-based commitment. It's a law. It's legal. You have to do it, but they are not going to be after you. They expect you to follow the requirement, and if they find you breaching the requirement, you can be, of course, in big trouble. So, for this, Faria, you wanted to include few quick questions about the visitor visas, and then we'll go back to Numan Saab for his question about immigration application, and then we'll start with the comments here and going further, we will attend to the questions that were asked in our previous post, and then we'll conclude very quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
So those people who are interested in applying for visit visa or student visa, can they apply at the moment?
Yes, that's a very, very important question. So if you are interested in coming to Canada as a visitor for travel, for business purposes, and it's, of course, you want to come to Canada in future, not right away. And if you are applying for a study permit, you have the admission, but you wish to, of course, the next step in study permit is to apply for study permit after admission. So you can apply. There is no halting of applications at IRCC. They are not saying that we are stopping you from submitting the application. You can, and in fact, we know that for visitor visas and study permit application, these can be submitted online. So it's not necessarily be your visit to the VAC, where there is a fear of getting in contact with other people. So naturally, and in most of the cases, the VAC are closed anyways. So applying online is suitable, but you also need to understand that the visa processing takes time, and right now in the current situation, it will take a toll on the processing times as well. So you might not get your visa in time or before the start of your session. So maybe it's a good idea for you to ask your university to defer your admission, put you in the next session, so you can come to Canada with peace of mind. Otherwise, if you rush here, you would miss some of your classes, and that could be an issue, right? So that's how it is. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, one more. So those who have been asked to undergo medical examinations or biometrics, and they have been asked to go for biometrics, for example, and given 30 days, what are they supposed to do because the offices and BSCs are closed at the moment?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, the IRCC, the Immigration Department understands that. And even if you've been issued the letter, it says 30 days, it will be deemed 90 days. So you don't have to worry about it. You can wait. And we are hoping that the situation is going to normalize I would say, in 90 days, at the best. It can go further. And if that happens, then the Canadian government is going to attend to those people, those requests, and they will honor the approval. They would not say that because of this ongoing situation, we are refusing. Even if it has to continue for a very long period of time, they do understand that they will allow you once the situation permits. So the concern that what will happen with my visa, I have the visa already issued, or I have been approved, but the visa was not issued because I could not submit my passport. This will all be sorted out. All you need to do is to wait a little bit, and it will be all sorted out. Thank you very much for the questions. Let me turn to Raman Saab if he has any questions. Then we're going to go to the comments, and we'll show those.
I like to ask one specific question from the people here, specifically the people traveling with the minors on a visitor visa, or people who are on a permanent resident status wanted to travel with a minor on a visitor visa, a minor having a visitor visa. So in that scenario, is there any travel restrictions in place in Canada to land in, or is there anything they can do about it beforehand or wait?
No, if it's a minor, of course, the minor will be accompanied with an adult, and so naturally, depending on the visa status, if it's a visitor visa, we know that they cannot come unless they are related to a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and as a close family member, and they have given the definition of close family member. If they have a permanent resident visa, if they may already have a permanent resident status, but their child has a visitor visa status, because sometimes it happens so that a permanent resident, has a baby born in their home country while they were visiting. So they really don't have any choice but to sponsor the baby after returning to Canada, or they apply for a visitor visa for the baby. And if the visitor visa has been given, naturally the baby can travel. There is no travel exemptions because baby is accompanying a parent who is a permanent resident. And but then again, you have to always check with IRCC if there are any confusions, or you can get in touch with us for your specific questions, and we'll be happy to respond to them. So let me quickly turn to the comments, and I'll start. I've got a lot of comments coming in. Okay, so there is a question, Tariq Balsidiki. I just want to start the process of applying PNP. Keeping view of current lockdown situation, can I go for it, or should I do it, or should I delay it, basically? So as we mentioned earlier, it is business as usual. You should not delay because there is no effect on your intent to apply. They are not halting the applications. And as I mentioned, there have been draws happening, and you're losing big time if you are not creating your Express Entry profile. If you don't create your Express Entry profile, you are not in sight of Alberta and Ontario. If you don't do that, and as an additional step, you don't create your profile with Saskatchewan, in addition to creating your Express Entry profile, you are losing big time on Saskatchewan draws. So it is a good idea to consider applying right now and get yourself selected. I hope this answers your question. We have another question coming in. So I have a TRV currently in Riyadh, and my wife and son is studying in Winnipeg. Can I get exception to enter to Canada because my family is living there? So your family needs to be a permanent resident or citizen. So if your family is also on temporary visa, you don't fall under the exemption. What is the opportunity? 40 plus years, 15 years. So Sajid Saab, you can send us your details. We can make an assessment of your eligibility to see whether you qualify or not. To do that, you can visit our website, www.amirsmile.com. You can fill out our assessment form for skilled workers, and we'll let you know within 2 business days as to what would be your status. So please do that. Can siblings of permanent resident travel to Canada? So it have to be immediate family member, right? So your spouse, dependent child, parent, guardian or tutor, spouse's dependent child, spouse's parent or step parent, dependent child of your dependent child. So basically, it doesn't qualify you for exemption. There is a question for Ali Khan. Is it a good time to apply for business immigration? Well, it is indeed a good time. Why? Because first of all, immigration has not stopped. Secondly, Canada would need a lot of businessmen to revive their economy. So I believe that Canada would be in fact interested in processing all the business immigration application, because you guys will be coming in and bringing in money and create jobs. That is what is needed at the end of the day. So don't delay. Okay, so there's a question from Gibran Minaz, a very familiar name. What about what about those who just dispatch the family class application? There is no such. There is no such Canada. Okay, so basically he's asking that how would it affect the time period? Normally they take 2 months for the first EOR. Okay, so thank you very much, Gibran, for joining us from Bangkok. When you submit the application, it takes 60 days and sometimes 90 days to get an acknowledgement of your sponsorship application. There is no indication from the Canadian government that they will not process the application. Once they have received it, we can expect that they have started processing your application. And it is business as usual. But we also need to take into account the fact that everyone has been impacted. So all we need to do is to be a bit patient about it. If they don't acknowledge in 60 days, if they take 70 days, we know why is it happening. We know why the delay is. But we should not be concerned about it not being processed. It has been, if you submitted the application, it must have been received. And we also noticed that when we submit the application, because there is no human contact policy by the Canadian government, we saw that some of the packages received by the immigration department, there was no signing person, so the staff couldn't get the sign. The courier person couldn't get the signature from the receiving party. But it doesn't mean that it has not been delivered. So that concern should not be there. Application delivered, processing should initiate, and albeit some delays, and we hope for the best. Okay, so can we share our question? Of course you can. Will merit criteria for immigration decrease? Okay, so this we already discussed, whether the CRS score, perhaps you're asking whether the CRS score is going to decrease or not. We don't know, but depending on the composition of the pool of applicants, and because of the fact that there will be lesser intake, we can expect that there'll be it might decrease. So the same question Omar is asking. Omar, hopefully we were able to answer that. And Shajil is saying, I'm in pipeline to submit and start application, but could not tell my wife and my IELTS and educational testing. Should we go ahead? Of course, you need those two documents. Without that, you cannot proceed. So maybe you'll have to wait until the situation permits, and you can then submit your application. Naim Saab is saying, useful information, current scenario. Thank you very much for the appreciation. Tahseen is saying, what about business immigration? I believe we answered that to you, Tahseen, or it was someone else. Okay, yeah, Tahseen, you can proceed with your business immigration application, because even for business immigration application, there are some steps involved, including the online submission of expression of interest, and then selection from the pool. So I think you should not delay. Rahil is saying, very nice information. Thank you very much, Rahil, for your appreciation. I know some information about immigration fees are 50% increase. That's not true, not at all. Nothing has changed. Fees is same. Even our fees is same. So don't worry about that. So Wakar is asking about PNP. Sorry, Faria, the question is so big, it covered most of your face. Let me suggest, okay, it's still not working. Anyways.
Okay.
So Wakas, send us your CV. In fact, complete our assessment form, and you should be okay. Hassan Akram saying, score is 63. Any possibility to get ITA? We don't know. It might happen. Apparently, COVID-19 is interested in immigrating to Saskatchewan. He's asking, is there any possibility for drops in points for Saskatchewan? It seems to be likely, if COVID-19 spares us, then it might happen. But the projections seem that it is going to be the case. Okay, so let's go down a little bit more. Thank you very much, Kashif. Naveen is saying, can I share my questions? You don't need to ask, just put your question. We are here to answer them quickly, because I understand there are so many questions coming in. Omar is asking also, I haven't gotten my ECA done. Can submit my profile and expression to get the ECA done. I'm sure that you cannot. You need to get your ECA, and depending on your situation, if it doesn't require you to involve HEC attestation, maybe you could do that by requesting your university to send a documentation directly to the assessment body, and we can perhaps assist you in that. Feel free to get in touch with us if you want us to help you. Wasim is asking, family wife, first applicant we make together with our IL-16. So she did IL-7. Okay, so you have 69 points. These are the points required for you to enter the pool, but then you are subjected to ranking points as well. We'll see whether the ranking points are, and regardless of your ranking point, you should be in the pool by all means, because then provinces are selecting people at a very low ranking score as well. So I don't think that you should delay creating your. Okay, I'm sure Jill is saying, I don't have any blood relatives in Canada. How can I get my application be considered? You don't need to have a blood relative in Canada. If you're talking about a visitor visa application and the exemption, that is something else. But if you are talking about permanent residence, most of the people, they don't have any relatives in Canada who migrate to Canada. So there's a very small percentage of people who have a sibling or someone else residing in Canada. So this is not a requirement. Okay. Amit Anoli is asking that you've been assessed as positive. How can I get in touch? So if you have received an email, you must have received the phone numbers, and you can get in touch with our Karachi office at Khwaja Numan here. He's on your screen. He's the guy. He's the man who could be contacted for all the inquiries. Of course, you might not be able to visit them because the offices are closed. But this is how we have operated for the last many years. We are based in Canada, and of course, you want your representative to be a Canadian citizen, right? So most of the Canadian citizens are found in Canada, and you want them to be licensed as well by Canadian governments. Of course, most of them are in Canada. So we have been in Canada. We have been able to assist clients all over the world without the need of having a local office. But we also recognize that having a local office is helpful because people find it convenient. That's why we have Khwaja Numan in our Pakistan office, and specifically in Karachi, and looks after other cities as well. We have Faria as well for the coordination in Lahore. So we do recognize that. But a lot of clients, they do contact even from Pakistan directly to our Toronto office, and we do help them. Anas is saying, I have sister-in-law in Canada. Is there any opportunity for me? If you qualify, of course, it will be helpful. Do get in touch with us for an assessment. We'll let you know. Harun is saying, I want to apply for PNP, but my points are 63. There are a lot of people who are stuck somewhere with 63 points. And if Saskatchewan decreases its points, because there is always a trend going on, and I would ask Naman Saab to let me know what is the current trend. I believe it's about 69 points.
No, it has been raised to 70 these days.
Okay.
In the last draw, and expectedly the ranges on average score would be like 69 or 70 in terms of selection.
Okay. Bilal is asking, do you assist in finding a job as well? No, we don't assist in finding jobs. We assist in immigration only. Sorry about that. Manoj is asking, applying for 2 years BCom with 8 years of HR experience, because wherever I went, they said for immigration, at least master's required. That's true, actually, because it's not a requirement. It all comes down to your ranking points. So if you have a 2 years bachelor's degree, it can be called a bachelor's degree in your home country, but it actually is not a bachelor's. A bachelor's degree is actually 3 or 4 years bachelor's degree. So you get a very low points, and as a result, your ranking score is so low that in most of the cases you do not qualify. So that is true from that point of view. Okay, Naveen is saying she's in WMO in health department in Pakistan, want to apply for immigration with spouse. What are the requirements? I have no siblings in Canada. Please complete our assessment form. We'll let you know whether you qualify or not. Input your information, your spouse's information. We'll be able to make an assessment. Amir Afzal, at what time process I have to show required funds in my account for 6 months? So you need to show settlement funds once you have received your ITA. You're given 60 days to provide documentation. And okay. If the Hadi is asking a question about our competitor, I would not compare our Canadian licensed company with a local unlicensed agent who pretend to be licensed, but they are basically representing an immigration firm with which they have an agreement to represent them. In our case, we are a Canadian company and we don't have agents. We have our own offices. So, but I would basically avoid that answer. You can give us a call in Canada and we'll let you know what is the difference between a Pakistan-based consultant or a Canadian consultant. Most of these agents, they haven't been to Canada even, so they are selling a product without being authorized by the government of Canada, so breaching the law, and they indicate that they are agents of ICCRC members. Some ICCRC members, of course, my colleagues, they are desperate to get some business as well, so they don't check even the background of these agents. They may have shady past. So if you want to save some money and you don't want to risk it, better find out what's going on. And but differentiation, of course, there are so much to differentiate with, but not with a particular competitor. We talk about this in general terms. What is the difference between us and the Pakistani agents? Okay, so there's a question somewhere. I receive these kind of comments that I need to come to Canada and I need to come in any case, whatever money. It doesn't depend on the money. If you meet the criteria, you should qualify, right? You should be considered unless there is a problem with your documentation or there's a background checks or medical checks problem, right? So it's not like you're purchasing the visa. There are selection criteria, there are rules and regulations. You cannot say that whatever money you want, I'll give it to you and then get me the visa. I don't get the visas. I assist you in representing your application. So you basically, it's the visa officer that gives you the visa. Sometimes totally on the discretion even. But yes, there are firm rules and regulations in terms of, say, allocating points to you. And if you do meet the requirements, we can argue that you deserve to be considered, but we can't say that we will get you the visa. We cannot. And those Pakistani agents, of course, posing to be agents of ICCRC members, they can perhaps say that we have that say in the immigration department. We can do that for you. But it's something that I would avoid to deal with. Okay, so there's a question. My husband is sponsoring me. When would she get the PR cards? You can look at the processing time on the ICCRC website, IRCC website rather. ICCRC is our regulator, basically. It licenses immigration consultants who are licensed by the government of Canada. So IRCC website to see what is the current processing times when you come to Canada. And by the way, welcome to Canada in advance. So I have received my EOR for express entry on 19 March. How long will it take to receive my COPR? Okay, so I'm assuming that you have submitted your passport. You should receive it fairly quickly. Is this what is being said, Noman? Is this what the question is? I don't really got the gist of the question. How long will it take to receive? So basically you're waiting for your COPR, right? After submission of your passport. So visa will be stamped on your passport and you'll get your COPR. Some more questions coming in. But before we proceed to that, Faria, do you have any questions in your comments on our post, so we can attend to them quickly if they have already not been answered by me, because some of the questions have already been answered by way of our presentation and attending to these questions. So
Most of them you have covered, but let me just double check one more
Ye-
time.
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah.
So there's a question from
Talking about Hassan Shahid.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so he perhaps received his EOR for Express Entry on 19 March. So I think he's expecting his COPR to come expectedly in 6 months' time if he has submitted his
Oh,
PR
so
application.
it's the e-application.
It's actually, yeah, electronic application. If he has submitted an electronic application, then onwards it's going to take approximately 6 months' time, and maybe more if he has any detailed background screening.
Yeah, 6 months is the standard timeline that the current government gives after the submission of EAPR, the electronic application for permanent residence. But even in normal circumstances, it can be beyond that time because it involves background security checks, medical examination, assessment, and everything. It can take longer, but in the current scenario, you should make up your mind for longer period anyways because of the lack of staff, people operating from home. We were dealing with the various departments here in Canada, and we saw that uh, most of the staff have been asked to operate from home. So basically, there has been a lot of cut down in terms of the human resource. Uh, files. Okay, so there is a minimum criteria for IELTS. When you complete your assessment form, indicate your IELTS score. Will let you know. To be able to enter the express entry pool, 6 band is the minimum requirement, assuming that you meet the threshold to meet the pass rank as well. Okay, I do not have 12,000 yet in my account. Do I need aging of this amount? I borrow from my cousin. Well, you really need to get in touch with our offices for an advice like this because there are a lot of things that are needed to be checked and reviewed before we could give you an opinion. So, Facebook might not be an ideal forum for us to attend to specific matter. So, we can talk about in general, but specific matter that I have this much of money, I don't have this much of time. This money has resided in my bank account. I'm borrowing it or not borrowing it. So we can discuss. We do have a consultation booking link on our website, and we can see that. Arman is saying, "Can I enter into Express Entry Pool if I don't get 67 point under if I have for evaluation?" Yeah, Arman, you cannot enter the Express Entry Pool if you don't have 67. If you have 66 point, for example, 1 point short of 67, even then you cannot enter the pool. Asma Azhar saying immigration
One
fees.
thing which I'd like to add for Arman here,
Yeah,
he may, since he has sent his CV, if he can for
yeah,
provincial nomination program.
that's right. Yeah,
So we can look into the provincial nomination program for Arman if he qualifies there, even if he's not meeting the 67 pass mark. We can look into the PNP option for him.
option as well. Now I'm getting a lot of questions. This immigration fees increase up to 50% or not? I don't know from where people are getting the information, but that's not true. If anything changes, you should visit the IRCC website. That is the most authentic source of information. If anything changes, the Canadian government is going to give you an announcement. Um, I'm sure you are dealing with, again, some local unlicensed Pakistani or whatever country you're in agent who wants to excite you to submit the application or give him the case as soon as possible. There's some desperation there. People telling clients that the fees is increasing by 50%. You need to apply now. In other words, they are saying you need to give your money to me now because I need it now. So you have to be very careful. There's nothing as such. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll attend to that later on, I guess, because there are a lot of people asking for a job offer. We don't assess a job offer. The likelihood of getting a job offer is very remote. So I don't think that you can get a job offer and get it approved as well from the Labor Department Canada. It's a cumbersome process, and don't waste your money. Again, the local consultant telling you that he can get you a job offer, give him such and such amount. Be very careful because that's your money. What is the chance of single female civil engineer with construction industry experience? Well, if you do meet the selection criteria, you can create your express entry profile, and you can see whether you would be selected by the federal government based on your ranking or the provincial government based on your occupation. Most of the cases, they are looking for a specific occupation. In my point of view, civil engineers are in demand in Alberta, Saskatchewan. So you may have good chances. Complete our form. We'll let you know if you have not already done so. If you have already done so, get back to us. If you have intentions of working with us on your case, we'll be happy to do that. There's another big question coming in from Vicky Malik saying he's working as system engineer, expert in Pakistan civil aviation. He wants to apply for Canadian immigration, but when he reached a consultant in order to get information regarding that, they told me that you are supposed to possess at least 18 years education in order to apply. Well, that's not true. In order to apply, there is no mandatory requirement of having 18 years of education, right? You do get more points when you have more education. That's for sure. But one cannot say that you need to have at least 18 years of education to apply. One can argue that with lesser ranking points, your chances of being selected directly by the federal government might be less because of the going trend, going rate, or you could say it is hovering around 470 ranking points, and you may not have good enough points for selecting directly. But then most of the people don't have 470. They are depending on the provincial selection. And if you do have a profile such as this, like system engineer, British Columbia keeps on selecting people under a separate category for IT people. IT people are in demand in most of the provinces, so you can expect a selection, and hopefully it will happen for you. If you need any assistance in that, we'll be happy to assist you. Okay, so I think we'll take one last question from Ramzan Ali Rahmani. I have he's basically saying he's the visa deadline to land on June 12th. So is it possible to extend? I did on web, but form, but no reply, and web going to. Okay, so if your visa is expiring, basically you can inform the IRCC, and they'll get back to you. You can very well see that their response might be delayed, but you should be able to do it because you know that there is a restriction, a travel ban, so you cannot come to Canada before that. So yeah, I'll take a few more before we say goodbye. I think the questions are pouring in now. As soon as we announce that we are closing it off, we are actually well over 1 hour. But do feel free to send us your email or complete our assessment form if you are looking for assessment under any of the programs. So, what are the chances management consultant having 1 year of experience? We'll make an assessment. Let's let you know whether you qualify or not. Omar is saying he's doing masters in cybersecurity from Australia. After that, am I eligible for EE? We can make an assessment to see whether you will be. Get in touch with us, complete our assessment form. We'll let you know, and that's free of cost, of course. Doesn't cost you any money to know what are your chances. Shaila Mehtab is saying best PNP option for dentists. Let's make an assessment and see and research with you, because it should be a combined effort to see which province would be suitable. Once you complete our form, our PNP team is gonna get in touch with you to discuss with you which province would be better for you. We'll be happy to assist you and set aside our professional time to do that. We'll set aside our time, do a research, and let you know what is the best option. Okay, so I'll let Khwaja Saab to answer this question. believe I'm actually getting a little tired. I'll take a pause. And the question is, can you tell if the immigration process was taking 5 months, how much time would it take now? So the answer is obvious, I believe. Yes, Khwaja Sahab, can you hear me? Yeah, I think he's having a little bit of problem with the audio, but of course we can expect delays in processing. So even when the things were normal, it sometimes used to take more time because of the background of the application.
So Shazia Mirza, I
He's got this.
understand the immigration process has been,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been like, yeah, I can hear you.
yeah, it's a bit of a
I
delay.
hope you can hear my voice.
Yeah, we can. Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but I think there's a bit of delay. So I think I'll just quickly
Yeah.
continue with the rest of the questions. I'll continue with that, and then we might be able to wrap it up fairly quickly. There is this question from Shariar Lalani saying, my COPR will expire on April 15, and I can't travel from Karachi ATM at the moment. I filled web form twice, but I haven't received anything from IRCC. So I think you have to be a bit patient about it. IRCC will be getting back to you pretty soon. So I think you'll have to give them a little bit of time. You know that you cannot travel anyways, right? So since you have written to them, they will get back to you with the information as to what you should be doing the next. Ikmatiyar is asking, do you deal in PNP? Yes, at the moment we deal mostly in PNP. So yeah, welcome back, Khwaja Sahab. I believe you got booted out by the system. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think we have answered most of the
I have
questions.
a question as well. It just popped up on my feed. So it's by Iftikhar Ahmed, and he's saying that hello, he has inquiry about study permit.
Right.
He offered admission at Canada and PhD program starting from May 2020. But due to this ongoing pandemic situation, his semester is deferred to September 2020. So he has already applied for the study permit and he's done with his medical and biometrics. So would this affect his visa process?
Okay, so if he has done his, if he has already received the visa, is this what he's saying?
He's saying that it was supposed to start his study permit. It was supposed to start May 2020.
So he can come to Canada if he is able to board the plane. As he approaches the airline, they will test at the airport whether he has any symptoms, and if he doesn't, he will be allowed to board the plane because he has the study permit approved. He comes under exemptions, and then once he comes to Canada, he will be checked again here in Canada, and he would be asked to go for 14 days mandatory isolation. So, and under the law, he has to abide by that. So I don't think there's any problems doing that, right? So I would leave you guys with the contact information of our Toronto office, our Karachi office, and get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to assist you with your programs. Once again, these are trying times. These are unprecedented times. We can all get through with that. We can all be celebrating sometimes very soon when this is all over. It's just a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of focus is required from all of us. Follow the government advice. Stay at home. Wash your hands and avoid gatherings. Even if it's at your home, visiting people is not good. So I know that you've heard all these recommendations many times. I'm just repeating them just to reassure and put my 2 cents in it. But in terms of immigration, it's business as usual. Don't delay your application submissions, and we'll be able to help you if you would like us to being of assistance to you. And with that, I'm going to show you the slide which has information on our contact details. Sure. So we have our contact details right on our screen right now. Address for both our Toronto, Karachi office. The phone numbers are also there. I believe the cell number is not there, so I'll show it to you in a banner right now. Okay, so sample banners. In fact, the number for Khwaja Naman's cell number, which you can read.
Meanwhile, you sharing the number and everything, I would like to comment here for all those people who are commenting and sharing all their queries. I would suggest they can visit our website, that is www.amirismail.com, and there is a link of booking of a consultation. They can also book a consultation, and we can be guiding them for sure.
Okay, so this is the number of Khwaja Naman. If Faria could also write down your own number, it's there on our website as well, but I could just quickly get it done. Yeah, you guys are in a position to write down your number in the comments. Are you from the same portal? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. Okay, so do that. And I just copying your number for you, and I'm gonna put it right there. So this banner. So this is Karachi. This is Lahore. And we have Toronto. Sorry, guys, for keeping you waiting. It just happened to me that I should share with you. So we have a Karachi number 0300-251-6207. We have the Lahore number as well. Is the number correct, Maria?
The Toronto number is 001-647-8350-660.
Sorry about that. 001 and 647-835-0660. The Toronto number is also on WhatsApp. So if you happen to add us on your WhatsApp, we'll be able to answer the questions. If you're based in Pakistan, these two numbers you can reach, Karachi and Lahore, and feel free to get in touch with us. We'll be happy to assist with you in your plans. And any further questions, you can direct it to our email address, info@amirismail.com. So yeah, I take your leave, and thank you very much for being with us today. And we would look forward to arranging a few more sessions in coming future. And it seems that virtualization is the future, anyways. So it's a pleasure meeting with you all. Take care and good luck.
Welcome, and thank you. It's always a pleasure being with you.
Sure.